Good morning. So today I thought we would take a little field trip out to the country because I have been intrigued by this place for years. Ferme les Alpines. I don't know why, but I have a real affinity for goats. Maybe it's because I'm a Capricorn, but to me they have always looked like little dogs, worthy of a snuggle. We have this big book here at the house with all of these different pamphlets of things to do. And at some point, somebody put this pamphlet in there and I have been dying to go here. It's a small family farm that is making small batch goat cheese. I just thought it'd be really fascinating to go out there and see how goat cheese is made in France. And of course, to see the goats. Let's go. We headed into the French countryside about an hour away from our house. And even though I love the beach and I love seeing the coastline, it's really great to get inside the interior of the Vendee region and appreciate the landscape. We turned down a little road and there at the end of it was a charming French farmhouse. We were greeted by the welcoming committee of cats, which of course my girls absolutely loved. The farm is owned by Agnes and Ludo, her husband, and their 14-year-old daughter, Charlene. And they took us inside right off the bat to see the goats. Oh! How cute! It was a bit startling at first to be greeted with all these little faces staring at us, wondering who we were. It was so cute. And in the corner was a very excited donkey who was getting happy because he saw Ludo walk in and he knew it was time for breakfast.
Tu vois, alors eux c'est des Alpines, c'est la race Alpine.
So the two varieties of goats that she has are these goats, which are the Alpine goats, and these, which are the Poitevin goats. And she has both because when she mates the two varieties, it creates a richer, more high-quality cheese. This is a completely organic farm, and the thing that was so striking was how clean this barn was. It had none of that sort of stinky barn smell, despite how many animals were in there. Then Philippe was explaining why the goats are in these little slats eating. And basically it's to keep them separated so that the smallest of the goats also get their time to eat and don't get pushed out of the way by the bigger goats. Et vous faites le marché avec le fromage?
On fait que les marchés.
I was curious about how they sold the cheese, and Agnes explained they only do local markets. So they're not selling to grocery stores or big operations. It's really just to people in the area. The baby goats. Oh my God, the nursery. C'est la crèche.
C'est la crèche. C'est la garderie là.
C'est la garderie. Oh my gosh, the baby goats are so cute. The goats were born in January, so they're about 6 months old. When they're first born, they're kept with the moms for a few months, but then they're separated because they're not allowed to go out into the pasture, since they're a lot more susceptible to parasites and other diseases as their immune systems are forming. These barn doors open, and that's how the goats are let out to the pasture. Because it was cloudy and a little bit rainy, the goats did not want to go outside. It's funny because they know when it's good for them to go and when it's not. Apparently, they have very sensitive lungs that are susceptible to infection, so they hate the rain. So nobody wanted to go outside today. Hi, sweetheart.
Attention, on va tomber.
Oui, on descend?
Mesdames.
Oui. See? Now it was time to see how this whole operation really worked. All right, we're gonna milk the goats. I'm very curious how this works.
Tu vas me donner tes pouces.
Oui, okay. She had me give her my thumb because she wanted to show me what the suction was like on the tubes. So I put my thumb in there and it's like a suction. So I got the picture of what's about to happen. She also gave the girls a turn too. What was so fun about this whole experience is she really is a combination between an artisan and a teacher. She wants you to fully understand how she's caring for the goats and how the process actually works. Now we understand better. Okay, here she goes. The tubes are attached to each of the goats. The milk is collected and runs through the tubes into a receptacle and up through the pipes to the other side. The whole process is quick, maybe about 20 minutes or so, and this happens every day. They have 60 goats, and each one has its own proper name, and you can see that on the collar. And the yellow tickets on their ears indicate their birth date, because goats only live for about 8 to 10 years, so it's important to know how old each one of them is. Well done, ladies. Oh, off we go. it's time to learn how to make the cheese. C'est comme un grand cafetière. That big filter was to filter the milk that we just collected. So she pours it over the funnel, it collects any of the impurities, and then that milk must sit there for 24 hours. But she had some milk that she collected yesterday that we were actually going to work with. But first she needs to take a ladle of this fermented milk from yesterday and add it to the new milk we collected today. Without getting too technical, this whole process of cheese making has a lot to do with the fermentation. So she explained that the studio had to be kept at a certain temperature to allow this fermentation process to occur without the milk spoiling. And then it was time to form some cheese. All right, so first we need to wash our hands.
Yeah, that's good, already.
So as the milk starts to ferment, it starts to harden and become firm, almost like yogurt. And the next step was to then remove some of the water that had collected on top, because this whole process of cheese making is kind of like an exercise in removing as much of this water as possible. So she had me fill up these pots to the top, and the pots have drainage to allow the water to drain out. So off I went, filling these little pots. We were on a roll. My daughters and I filled about 20 to 25 of these little pots, which is about the amount she can get per milk collection. Then the next step was to allow that to sit there for 24 hours. Then after 24 hours, those little pots that we filled will shrink down to something like this. So that's just all the water draining out of the cheese. And the next part of the process was to flip it over so that it could drain equally on the other side. I must say, this part of the process was a little bit more challenging for me anyway.
Moyen, Beth,
I'm not doing very well. Then after another 24 hours, they would get even smaller and look like this. Then it was time to get them out of the mold, put them on the rack, and salt them. Then the cheese would sit out for another 24 hours, and then Charlene showed me what it would look like if it sat out for 5 weeks in the cheese cellar. And as it sits in there, it gets drier and creamier and has a lot more flavor. She invited us into the cheese cellar to see where this all takes place. So as this cheese sits there, depending on how long it's there, it just becomes a lot more textured, drier, creamier, and these were the pieces that she was getting ready to sell to the market. So she has what's known as the demi-sec, which is what we were looking at here, the tome, which is a really aged goat cheese, which is quite tasty, one of my husband's favorite. And then she explained that she can slow down this process too by putting the cheese in the refrigerator, and that would stop the process of aging. So these pieces are headed to the market this week, so she wanted to make sure she had enough of chevre frais as well as the demi-sec. At the end of our visit, they took us out for a little walk on the property. The whole farm sits on 44 hectares of land, and it's pretty impressive, being from Los Angeles, to see this much land without anything built upon it. I thought it was such an amazing experience for the girls to see this too, and to understand better the amount of time and effort it takes to make small batch local food. It's clearing up and it is so beautiful here. Maybe the chef will be able to get outside after all. There's a little pond on the property, and alongside was some amazing wild mint that was growing. The fragrance was unbelievable. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. C'est trop bon. We tried some of the tome and it was delicious. And of course, we couldn't leave without buying some to take home. We're gonna have a fantastic cheese platter tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the trip to the farm, and I'll see you back here next time. Until then. Now, if I could just get the girls to put these kittens down, we could get in the car and head home. But who could resist them? They're so sweet.